Hey everyone, so it's apparent from what we've all read and seen that any magical child attending Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry is eligible to be granted a place in any of the 4 Hogwarts houses: Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff and Slytherin. Now, it's that last house I mentioned, Slytherin, that raises many questions. Well, at least it had. Like, why all of the bad guys come from Slytherin? But I have another question. A more important question, and it's been argued back and forth. Do Muggle-borns deserve a place in Slytherin if it's the best house for them? Or does it go against everything Slytherin is as a house to allow students of what they would consider such dirty blood to be part of their elite environment? I'm going to do my best to answer that question in today's video, so welcome back to the world of Harry Potter, and please enjoy. Okay guys, so as usual, Slytherin is in the spotlight once again for being that house that doesn't comply like the others. Now, I've discussed this lightly a couple of years back, and some of the other YouTubers have made videos on how they feel about the situation. I've chatted in forums with other fans, and I've seen people argue back and forth for and against Muggleborns being accepted into Slytherin house, and it's actually gotten quite heated at times, so I'm going to clear it up in this video with some heavy evidence, and hopefully by the end of it you all can see my point of view on if Muggleborns really are entitled to a place in Slytherin. Now guys, it's not such a grey area when you look at it from what's required from a Slytherin, and that all starts with the man that the house is named after, Salazar Slytherin, one of the 4 founders of Hogwarts. Now, as many of us know, Salazar favoured only pureblood students, of which there was a lot more of 1,000 years ago. Back then, you see, half-bloods were few and far, though not non-existent. So as I said guys, good old Sal was in favour of the pureblood, and to be honest, it's not without just cause. You see, during those times, anything magical, anything out of the ordinary was deemed as witchcraft, but not the witchcraft we're all familiar with today. This was looked upon as an evil, devil-inspired form of witchcraft. This caused annual witch hunts. Dozens of wizards and witches were hunted down and killed just because of their gift, just for being magical. So Salazar Slytherin says, well, hold on, these muggles are hunting down my kind, killing and imprisoning them, and yet I'm expected to teach their children who are born with an active magical gene and integrate them in with pureblood students who are the ones that are going to be defending themselves out in the real world in a couple of years' time. Bear in mind, the hidden wizarding sector was in its very early stages 1,000 years ago, so in a way, it's understandable to see how and why this all originated with Salazar Slytherin. I know there's always been rumours and speculation that there was a great war between Muggles and Wizardkinds too, which is quite fitting to the hostilities Salazar felt towards Muggles in general. In addition to that, Salazar felt so strongly about the subject that it caused constant infighting between himself and the other founders, especially between he and his very best friend Godric Gryffindor. Slytherin walked away from everything he had helped build. He walked away from the very students who he had taught, and walked away from his friendship with the other 3 founders, which makes it very clear that he not only felt extremely strong about the topic, but he invested himself in what it means to be a wizard in his eyes. So for the amount of sacrifice he actually made, isn't it only fitting that the Sorting Hat at least adheres to Slytherin's preferences? It's actually my belief that the blood purity, in addition to ambition and cunning, was that 3rd trait that the hat looked for in order to allow students into Slytherin. I don't think it openly stated that, but the founders did all place their magic in the hat, so we can only imagine what Salazar's input was. I do think it was clear that he wanted the hat to approach sorting for his house in a different manner to the other founders. Then you have to think, does it go against everything Hogwarts stands for, to have such inequality happening within its very walls? Well, the thing is, there was always going to be inequality in the wizarding world. In fact, there is not a single recorded case of a Muggle-born student ever being accepted into Slytherin, Not one. Now, it does say on Pottermore that Muggle-born Slytherins do exist, and that belief is solely taken from Scabior's comments when he says there's not a lot of mudblood Slytherins, are there? Now guys, in my opinion, that is a clear sarcastic reference to the fact there are no Muggle-born Slytherins. The truth is, Muggle-borns don't belong in Slytherin. It simply goes against everything that the house stands for. It's an insult to Salazar Slytherin to even think of allowing someone of a considered lower blood status to be part of the house he created. And if that was the case, if for the sake of it, say a Muggle-born did get placed in Slytherin, the first ever, how do you think that person will be treated? They will be ridiculed, bullied, tortured and teased. A lot of Slytherin students shared a similar belief as their house founder, and in comes the first student to not only break tradition, but in a way, actually destroy a tradition spanning back over 1,000 years. Slytherin as well is the least populated house, because its requirements are so high. Now I know, and we all know, that not all Slytherins are bad. There's lots of good Slytherin students, but the fact is, at the end of the day, the majority of them, good or bad, will stand behind the house they represent, even if they don't like it. So guys, my opinion is that Muggle-borns don't belong in Slytherin. It goes against everything the house stands for, everything the house's founder stands for and believed in. It's kind of hypocritical also. But here's the counter argument. Times change. Views change. You can't act on a belief that stemmed from a grey situation, a grey area. And what I mean by that is, Slytherin's views on Muggle-borns and Muggles in general originated from the ongoing troubles between the two races that resulted in many deaths, something that happened over 1,000 years ago. Those kind of hostilities don't exist these days, which makes me wonder, is it truly okay to uphold such beliefs? Now guys, I know when I say those kind of hostilities don't exist, I'm not dismissing the fact that there have been uprisings and wizarding wars, but on the scale it was previously, with wizards and witches being hunted and killed, those days are gone, partially due to the protection of the magical sector. But I can't say that if wizardkind was exposed as it once was back then, that we wouldn't have modern day witch hunters and things would be, okay, a lot more hostile. This all ties into the reason Slytherin House is the way it is. Many of the house's ancestral members most likely had family members killed by Muggles. Just like the Durmstrang students with Grindelwald, they all held a grudge, and so did Salazar Slytherin and his future student house members. Would Salazar Slytherin feel differently? He lived in a different time guys, but at the end of the day, the hat can go on what it was instructed to go on. The house is fully entitled to stand by the beliefs it was founded upon, so therefore everyone, and I mean this from a neutral standpoint, I'm just weighing up evidence and facts. There is no place for a Muggle-born in Slytherin, but that's just my view. If you disagree in any way, which I'm sure many of you will, then please let me know in the comment section below. But more importantly, give me valid reasons for your disagreement. Thanks again guys, have a great day and I will see you all in the next video.